Welcome to the second half of 2025, folks. It is official. It is July 1st. It is the second half of 2025. And let me just ask you, how did the first half go for you? How are you doing on your New Year's resolutions? How are you doing on your goals? How are you doing at learning your buy box? How are you doing on your health goals? Just let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from my audience how the first half went. As the second half starts, just know that you have an opportunity to kind of reset. One of the things that I have done every year is take the opportunity right around July 4th to kind of level set and look at what we've done and where we are going. Lots of people do it at the end of the year, which I do as well. But I think July 4th, mid-year, is a great time to do that. One of the first things we got to talk about today is the Jolts report. And for those out there like Michelle Bowman, Christopher Waller, President Trump, hoping for a July rate cut, let me just tell you, the first of the three jobs numbers that we get this week did not help. We needed each of these three jobs numbers to be weak. We then needed inflation next week to come in light, which would have put a July rate cut discussion at least on the table. So what did the Jolts report say this morning? Again, the Jolts report is something we've talked a lot about during the pandemic. It peaked at over 10 million job openings. This is really the environment where we are seeing companies hold on, not fire, because they know how hard it is to hire and train. The Jolts report last month came in at 7.4 million job openings. It was expected to get weaker to 7.3 million. Bingo, bango, it did not. It came in substantially stronger at 7.7 million. So we added roughly 300,000 job openings. Again, if you were hoping for a July rate cut, you needed this number to significantly disappoint. That said, we do have two jobs numbers coming up the next 2 days, ADP report tomorrow and the Bureau of Economic and Labor Statistics on Thursday, because of course Friday is July 4th. It is still possible that the next two numbers are very, very weak, leaving a July rate cut on the table, but it is not looking good at the moment. Let's talk about some Fed presidents. A lot of them are out talking, including Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is talking this morning. We have what he has said, but we'll get to him in a minute. Let's go to Fed President Goolsbee. Definitely possible for both inflation and employment to get worse at the same time. This is something we've been talking about for quite a while, the threat of stagflation. Certainly, it is the fear for the Fed over the summer. You've heard many folks, including Powell, talk about inflation over the summer going the wrong direction. We have talked about it for the last 6 months with something called the base effect long before tariffs came to be a thing. The base effect was likely going to take inflation higher. Again, we will see next week. Again, Fed President Goolsbee, don't see any prospects of 1970 style stagflation. Yeah, dude, you might be saying that, but I bet behind closed doors you're going, wow, this is pretty risky. How about Fed President Bostic? We can get inflation to 2% without rate hikes. What? When did rate hikes become part of the conversation? So it is interesting to hear Bostic talk about rate hikes. Businesses have low desire to hire or fire workers. This is an important trend. Something is very different. If you remember during the pandemic, people were frankly overpaying to hire talent, to steal talent from competitors. This is something that companies are still remembering. And again, as I've said for quite a while, I think the second half, after we get through all the, through July 20th is the 6-month mark of this president, things will get hopefully smoother and less uncertain. I think we certainly have passed the peak of uncertainty, but let's see where we go from here. Again, Fed President Bostic, tariff inflation is the question of when, not if. That's interesting. So Bostic is saying it's coming. The only question is timing. Lastly, from Fed President Bostic, 3 rate cuts next year is what he has priced in. And we need more information to know what to do next. Last thing, I guess I got one more from Bostic I read this morning. Bostic says businesses' response to tariffs might stretch into 2026. So again, what are we hearing from the Fed? We need more data. We need more data. We got to wait and see. And now Bostic is telling us we got to wait to 2026. That's going to piss off President Trump. What else do we got? Let's talk about Powell. He is out talking this morning. Some of the highlights, because it just started. The majority of the Fed expect rate cuts later this year. I think Powell is doing everything in his power to talk about September. That September is a live meeting. I think July is unlikely, but I think even Powell is trying to buy some time and talk about September. Powell says it's prudent to wait and learn more. Again, Powell has been very clear. He expects the next 2 months to be spicy. Expect higher readings over the summer. Again, this is what Powell has out there. Then we have Treasury Secretary Bessent out repeating something he said yesterday. Repeats that the Fed may be waiting too long. Again, this is what Fed President Bessent says. We do have Trump and Musk fighting it out again. Apparently, the big, beautiful bill has added some new tax on wind and solar projects out of nowhere. Again, at least if you believe the articles that I read this morning. Musk's not happy. Trump's not happy. Do we have another Musk and Trump tweet storm coming? Probably, knowing those two guys. But hey, it is what it is. Citigroup is out with a finding talking about luxury spending. Apparently, consumers over the last 90 days have pulled away from handbags and clothes. However, interestingly enough, spending on jewelry is up in the last 90 days. If you look across the category of luxury has been contracting for 3 months. Again, as we've talked about for quite a while, consumers can sit on their wallets for 6 months. It is not shocking that the folks with discretionary income the last 90 days have chosen not to spend on luxury goods. S&P manufacturing PMI came out this morning and was better than expected. It is expanding for the first time in 3 months. For the last 3 months, folks, PMI has been negative, meaning below 50. It means it's been contracting. This morning, we got a reading that it was up to 52.9. Anything above 50 is growth, while below 50 is contraction. Again, the last 3 months have been declining. So net good news. Maybe we are getting through the uncertainty and new orders are up, and we shall see where we go from here. Let's congratulate some folks who are joining our school community. You can see there at the bottom of the screen, school's only 67 pennies a day. But of course, we have an extra special bonus for you. Yes, Chester, I'm calling you out, Chester. You can actually join school this month, July, and the financial firefighter will reimburse you the $20. So you can actually try it before you buy it and get a free month. All you have to do is follow the financial firefighter on Instagram, send him a note on Instagram and YouTube, and I will validate that you are a new student, and he will Venmo you or whatever it is, $20. Again, he's doing that for the first 20 folks. If that is something of interest to you, again, follow Financial Firefighter on YouTube, send him a note on Instagram, and we will get you that reimbursement. Time to step up, Chester. Talk about Torsten Slock. This is a guy from Apollo Global Management. He is somebody I am paying special attention to. In every cycle I have been through, there's an economist that kind of makes their name, right? So I think Torsten Slock is going to be that individual in this cycle. He's from Apollo Global Management, if you want to research him. He is saying the economy is at a crossroads, and says that stagflation is a real possibility. Again, tariff inflation is coming. Job market is weakening. This is no bueno. And it's really interesting because, again, historically, we've often said, what's the Fed going to do? Inflation is worse. The job market is worse. Which are they going to choose? I think we learned that answer the last 4 weeks or so. The Fed has come out and said pretty point blankly, if the job market deteriorates, we will be cutting. We've got some updates on delinquencies. Delinquencies are starting to I don't know. I guess the doomers would tell you more delinquencies are starting to spike. Don't believe them. Again, they could mathematically be correct, but again, that's the law of small numbers, so don't get it twisted. We are seeing delinquencies rise. There is no question. Delinquencies went from 3.98% to 4.04%. So if you're doing the math on that real fast, that is 0.06 of a basis point. 0.06. So yes, it's up, but it's not up crazy. The thing that I do think is interesting, and this is what Jason Pritchard and I talked about in the school session over the weekend, is foreclosure starts are up. Jason shared in the session with school that, you know, his nonprofit would get one opportunity every 90 days or so. Now they're getting one opportunity a week, and he actually just put something under contract. There's a lot of shenanigans going on in FHA and VA and silent seconds and all this nonsense. That stuff has to get processed out. It means foreclosures will go up. Opportunities will go up. You need to understand the NOD, notice of default. You need to understand the timelines. But there is opportunity coming if you are looking for foreclosures. Foreclosure starts jumped 16.7%. Against the law of small numbers. 16% sounds crazy. But when you went from 100 to 116, not so crazy. And again, I'm not saying 100 is the number. I'm just giving you an example. It is pretty small. The one I'm actually following is foreclosure sales. This means they are sold on the courthouse steps, or at least that's how they do it in California. That is up 11%. I do believe that foreclosures will be rising over the next 2 or 3 years. Again, folks, a lot of people are telling you that the FHA foreclosure stuff starts in September. That is complete nonsense. That is not how the timeline works. You need 90 days before the NOD. You need 90 days after the NOD. And then, who knows, it could actually be extended much longer. If you want to go back and look at foreclosure timelines, back in the great financial crisis, they averaged over 1,000 days. That's almost 2.5 years. So yes, it is going up. Yes, there'll be more opportunity. But to tell you or to think it's coming in September of 2025 is somewhere between foolish and childish, because that's just not how it works. We are seeing subprime auto loans spike. We're now over 5% delinquencies. Again, I can't believe some folks went out and got $1,000 auto payments during the pandemic. That's just crazy. We are seeing some cities take it on the chin. It looks like New Orleans has had the highest rise in foreclosure notices, going from 1.2% to 1.7%. So again, lots of things going on there. And then let's do this last one. Where's my Goldman call? I got so many notes. Here we go. Goldman Sachs has moved their first rate call from December. That's when they initially thought the first rate cut was coming. It's now moved to September. I think you're going to see a lot of people orient around September. Folks, at the end of the day, I hope to see you inside school. Take advantage of what the financial firefighter is giving you as a wonderful testament to the group and the community. Again, $20, 67 cents a day. You get July for free. It's time to get in there, introduce yourself, take advantage of all the sessions. Again, this Sunday, we're going live with Derek, that ADU guy. If you ever thought about building an ADU or construction or any of that stuff, Derek is an amazing individual who is always giving back. So you want to ask him questions. Inside school, folks, I give you the opportunity to interact with millionaires, in many cases, multi-millionaires. This is where you want to go. You want to be in a community of wealth builders. School, one rental at a time, is a community of wealth builders, folks starting, folks growing, and folks who got to the finish line. So again, I will see you in there. And yes, Chester, I see you there. I'm going to put you on screen. There you go. You're on screen now. Hopefully, I'll see you register today. Reach out to Mark and get your reimbursement. We'll see what you think. Okay. All right, folks. Take care of yourself. Like, subscribe, comment, and don't forget that Steadily is Landlord Insurance. This is the person I use for every quote. Sometimes they help me. Sometimes they don't. They just recently saved me $1,000 on a fourplex, which I am very, very appreciative of. So again, give them a call, look online, and look at the link below in the description. If they can help, great. If they can't, at least you know. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Later.